So you got fucking fat because of COVID-19. Well, so did I. And it's time to stop eating like shit and get back on the horse. Well, guess what? I'm on day 2 of my ketogenic reboot. You know, I've been unhealthy, and I've been unhealthy and feeling like shit for quite long enough, and it's no excuse for it anymore. So I wanted to kind of give you a little intro to like my new keto journey. That is, just pretty much a reboot of the fact that I've been keto for 5 years prior to this. But, is what it is. Everything that I've been waiting to accomplish before I return to keto has happened. And one thing is for certain, I absolutely had to do this. I was feeling like shit. I was experiencing many more depressions than usual. They were starting to last a lot longer, multiple days, 3-4 days, some of them. And, given our current situation, it's just not cool. And I know I'm not alone. I need to get back to health so that I can get back to living my life and feeling better about things and not being so worked up about everything, and kind of getting back to less anxiety, less depression. I could give a shit about the 15 pounds, mind you, and I'm probably not going to be the healthiest motherfucker. I mean, I'm in a very harsh environment. I'm inhaling diesel fumes all the time. If you don't keep up with cleaning and dusting in here, it can fucking cake your lungs with all kinds of nasty shit. You pull into a dirty parking lot and that shit gets inside here, and it's a whole fucking thing. So I'm not going to be at optimum health. This is not the I'm going to be optimally healthy video. This is I'm going to get back to what I know works for my depressions, for my anxiety, and what keeps me under 200 pounds, which is a nice bonus. But to be honest, I'm not doing it for that. Why? Why bother? I don't really care if I'm 15, 20 pounds fatter. Even though I comment on it a lot. For me, it's the depressions needed to go. And so far I'm depression free, but I know I'm not out of the woods until I'm fat adapted. So we'll see how it goes. But I wanted to kind of show you how I plan on doing this while on the truck in probably the most unhealthy food and living environment that you can get, and to show you that it can be done. So the big things I was waiting on, obviously, number one were power, so that I can cook more efficiently. And I've solved that. So we're going to do a tour of Truck 3.0. This is, kind of a truck life, van life video also. And how to basically be keto as a nomad. I know a lot of people struggle with this that are traveling. They don't have access to a kitchen. They don't have access to their house. And they're forced to rely on fast food places, truck stops, and whatnot. And make no mistake, there's going to be times when I am way dirty keto. to where I'm taking the fucking bun off the burger at McDonald's, to where I'm eating sausage, egg, and cheese with no bun, you know, that kind of stuff. And that is a good supplement. Chicken wings, but you got to be careful with those, are another thing that you can generally find in most truck stops, if not, well, some truck stops, not most truck stops. And then other than that, there's not much else in the truck stop. Sometimes you get cheese curds and cheese and little cold cuts. Sometimes you can do Subway, you know, basically make a salad bowl with a bunch of shit in it that you would normally put on bread. Or worst case scenario, if you can't do that, just fucking take the shit off the bread. So those are backup plans. The reason why I wanted to get all of this other stuff is because I want to be able to have my ribeyes. I want to be able to make eggs and bacon. I haven't bought any bacon yet. I'm baby steps. I bought eggs to see if they would survive bouncing around in the truck all the time. I've already successfully cooked a ribeye with my new setup, and this is not a cheap setup that I'm going to describe to you. This is not a budget thing. All in all, when I think about the Jackery in the refrigerator, which I'll tell you what it is when we go up and I read the label, because I don't remember the name of it. You know, when it's all said and done, I've spent close to $1,800 on just, you know, those two things, let alone you got the microwave, which was like $60, coffee maker $40, and of course I just bought this today. It's an induction cooktop and pan. It's made of copper, so it's probably bad for me, but it's as seen on TV, so I was highly skeptical, but I figured for $50, let's see if I can cook a ribeye with it. It worked like a champ. Here's a little footage of that just to kind of show you. So you can find these induction cook thingies at Walmart, and as you can see, it's only using 864 watts at medium, which is about roughly what I cook at, and it's going to allow me to cook my ribeyes without propane or any of that other shit. So the Jackery is winning. Now, that being said, you can only run it for maybe a half hour off of the Jackery. I mean, I could probably run it off the truck too, but I wanted to see if the Jackery had cooked me a steak. And it's fucking cooking me a steak and shit. It's great. So, yeah. So, you know, I'm not sponsored, by the way. This is just the only option I saw. It uses roughly 800 watts of power, 900, no, more like 960. 960 watts of power-ish. No, 960 was my coffee maker. This is 830. So, 830 watts of power while you're cooking at medium heat. And you don't need to go much higher than medium to cook a steak. So, that's probably a good fucking deal. And it worked. I was surprised. It felt like a plastic piece of shit when I took it out of the box. The ribeye tasted good. My melted butter, you know, Kerrygold butter and whatnot. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, that was done. You know, I could hook this to the truck. You know, I just got the inverter shit fixed, supposedly, and I don't want to push my luck. I'd much rather beat on the Jackery than beat on the truck, because if the Jackery goes out, I can still drive. I can still power shit, with the truck as the backup, and the Jackery as the primary. So let me go over the Jackery real quick. So the Jackery is a 1,000 kilowatt hour battery with a 1,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, so you can plug normal shit into it up to 1,000 watts. It'll surge to 2,000, but your running should stay below 1,000. And I gotta tell you, a coffee maker is definitely pushing it, so be very careful what you hook to this fucking thing. I am pretty sure it has fail safes that'll cut it off if you exceed it, but for the most part, you don't want to basically when you have 1,000, if you do the math, it's really easy math to do. If you have 1,000 kilowatt hours and you're running something that's 1,000 watts, you can run it for an hour before the battery dies. So, you can sit there with a calculator and figure out how much time you have depending on the wattage of whatever you're running. This is a great power solution. I used it last night. I was able to watch YouTube. I was able to render a video. I watched a live stream with everything. I'll have no problem running all my music shit with it. And I don't have to run the truck. In fact, the other thing that I noticed is I can run a fan all night and still have plenty of, I got it down to 50% just by leaving a fan running all night, because I would open that window over there and simply hook my fan to this fucking thing. Also, I'm not sponsored by these motherfuckers either. See, nobody wants to pay me to talk shit because I say fuck too much, and fuck is not advertiser friendly or something. But it's really simple. Then once I start my day, and the truck's going to be running anyway because I'm driving, you have two options. Well, you actually have three options, but I only have two of them. You can use the 12-volt cable that comes with it, and that generally provides 60 watts or so. So it takes a while to recharge. It's the same thing. Do the math. If you are inputting 60 watts, how many hours does it take to refill? It's like a jar of electricity, if you think about it. Think of it like water. This is a little jug of water, and whatever you use, you got to put it back when you're done. That is the slow method. They say in the manual it takes roughly 17 hours to replenish. I cooked the steak that you just saw in the video and ran this down to about 79%, then immediately plugged it in. Even with the truck off, I could do it as long as I don't leave the truck off super long time. You can just constantly have it charging whenever you're not using it. You can even charge it while you're using it, and I don't know if that's supposed to do that, so I don't do that too much, but so that's one way. If you want to charge it faster, because it takes 17 hours to go from 0 to full with just the 12-volt adapter. If you want to go even faster, it comes with a power adapter that's like a laptop plug that plugs into this same outlet. That gets you 160 watts. Takes from 0 to full roughly 7 hours. But like I said, do the math. If you're putting 160 watts in to a 1,000 watt pool, how long would it take? It's some Common Core math and shit. So we should all be able to figure that shit out. But generally 7.5 hours to fill it from empty. You do not want to go to empty though. At around 20%, you want to stop and recharge, because if you consistently drop below 20%, you'll lose, capacity on the battery. Instead of being able to hold 1,000 kilowatts, it'll hold 800, 700, something like that. And you can power. It's got USB-C. It's got 12 volt. It's got everything you fucking need. I generally just hook a surge protector there to run all my little shit that I run at night to entertain myself. And like I said, you can brew coffee. You're not gonna brew it for very long. But it doesn't take but maybe 6 minutes or so to get a pot of coffee done, and takes you down to about 80%. And cooking my steak, about the same, took me down to about 80%, which is plenty fucking good. And I'm not straining my alternator by doing these very power intensive things. I haven't run the microwave off of it yet, but that's a 700 watt microwave, so it will work fine. And since I got that solution, I don't need the generator anymore. I don't even really need the truck's inverter. So if you're in a vehicle that has no power whatsoever, as far as inverter or whatever the pure sine wave inverter on this will do everything for you. It's expensive though. It's $1,000, but I can already tell you it's probably the best $1,000 I've ever spent when being on the road. It'll keep me powered, The third way you can charge this that I did not buy because I didn't think I needed it yet, I will eventually, is you can get a couple 100-watt solar panels, and it even came with a free like adapter. I don't think they all come with that. It's a gift on it. So you can string two 100-watt solar panels to it and charge it essentially probably around the same amount of time it takes for the 12 volt to recharge it. So probably 10 to 17 hours from 0 to full. But hey, if you're careful with how much you use out of it, you know, and if I felt I needed more, I'd probably just buy a second one, and just have one charging all the time. But I don't think I need that because the truck can provide power when I use that up. And the truck can even provide power while I'm charging it. So basically, my power needs are 100% covered, no matter how intense basically if I hooked all my live stream shit up, all my music shit, all of my shit, and my laptop, and rendered a 4K video and did all of that stuff that was very power intense, I'd still be able to use it for, the whole time off. It might get a little if I'm like sitting somewhere for a day or two. It's I'll have to run the truck basically, but overall it's getting the job done. So the next piece that I want to talk about is the refrigerator, and we're also going to look in the refrigerator and see what is a fucking keto motherfucker on the road put in his fridge, and let's go through that next. All right, here's my coffee maker, and just another quick part of the tour before we get to the refrigerator. That's my kitchen. And it's a little messy because I'm a little unorganized. That's my piss jug. That's my fucking toilet / garbage can. The seat to it's kept right there. Basically, it's a one-off. You take your shit, you bag it, you throw it out, just like you would a diaper. And then you simply clean it and make sure. And then of course, the inside of your truck doesn't smell like shit after that. But you don't just leave it sit in your truck or you will smell shit. I can't confirm that because I've never tried it. So I do keep this here to dry my dishes when I do them in the sink, which the sink is basically just a spigot that I refill with gallon jugs of water. And, that ends up taking care of my needs there. So this is the NDB. I believe this is the 40-something liter. There's 3 sizes of this. Other than that, they're the same footprint. You have to install these handles afterwards. This plugs in to 12 volt, but it also has an AC plug if you want to plug it into an inverter, or but it's more efficient to use the 12 volt because you lose a little bit of power if you plug it into an inverter. So you really want to only use the 110 plug if you're at your house and you want to pre-cool it and get your food loaded up, which I did, by the way. I loaded this up when I was staying in Syracuse, and then I put all my food in, and then I just carried it out to the car, plugged it into the Jackery, and kept my shit cold until I got in the truck, and then I just plugged it into the truck. It's not very loud, it doesn't run very often, and it is highly efficient. I think we're at 34 degrees right now, which is about what I keep it at. And it's got a little light in it, and that's my food. So let's go over what I got here. So we've got these. These are only keto in small doses. So one of these is approximately 19 grams of carbs. So basically, if you're going to eat one of these, meat and fat is the rest of your day. If you have a 50 gram carb limit, you can eat 2 of these a day. But you got to remember, count all your carbs. For me, my carb limit is 50 grams, so I can get away with it. I've got couple things of heavy cream. I've got some Phage 5% yogurt. I've got eggs. I've got a ribeye. I've got some ham and some Irish or some Kerrygold butter. And that's about all that's in there, really. Not much to it. I could fit more in there, but you know, I generally only need to have 3 or 4 days worth of food at a time because I can get to Walmart at will. I don't have freezer capability. I mean, you can freeze, but it's an either or situation because there's no separate compartments, so you can turn it into a freezer, but then you're sitting there with frozen shit. But the big thing for me is heavy cream and the capability for making my coffee easily. And I will say, since I got the Jackery and that refrigerator, I haven't bought truck stop coffee. So it's saving me money already. It'll pay for itself over time. You know, how many fucking $3, $2, $3 fucking coffees before it pays for itself, you know? So actually, it's probably take a couple years of coffee to fucking do. But, you know, then I got my dry goods. I also had some tuna, the tuna salad bags in there. Those are nice to have. There's a section off to the side that's not quite refrigerated, but keeps things cool. So I've got those in the other area. I forgot to show you that. But I bought that Indigo, I believe it's called, fridge. I bought that at the Iowa 80 truck stop, which is in Iowa. And, duh. I'm a great YouTuber and shit. The world's largest truck stop, they call it. And I was really surprised to see that they had them there because most truck stops have the cooler ones, not the compressor ones. So it is a compressor one, but they're expensive. Just like a Nomadic. Basically, it's like a Nomadic. I think the Nomadic has some nicer features in terms of the thermostat and stuff. And I think you can get 2 compartment where you have freezer capability. I don't really need freezer capability. The only real frozen shit that I consume is Halo Top, and I can just, you know, if I'm near Walmart, I'll run in and have a Halo Top, grab a Halo Top, and that'll be my treat. Which is part of the ketogenic diet for me as well. So that is my dry food pantry. So salt and vinegar fucking pork rinds. It turns out, as I was cheating on my diet, I was getting salt and vinegar chips. So this is to satisfy that fetish. Plus, it's nice to have a good, you know, salty food when you go keto because it'll help prevent cramps and keep your electrolytes balanced, keep you hydrated too. Honey roasted pecans. This is all shit you get at Walmart, mind you. 987. It's 7 grams of carbs per serving. A serving is a 1/3 cup. There's 6 servings in here. So you could probably eat half this bag and not fuck yourself if all you did was meat and fat for the rest of the day after that. So there's that. I bought these a while back. I find myself not eating them very fucking much. They're the same thing, 9,876, 5 grams net of carbs. Not healthy, dirty as fuck. There's like fructose in here even, you know, so there's that. I'm not afraid of a little sugar in my life as long as I keep my carb limit down. That is kind of the secret of dirty keto. As long as you keep under your carb limit for the day, you will get into ketosis. It's just might, depending on how dirty your food is, might affect your appetite, might affect a few of your energy levels if it's really nasty. Keep in mind, keep how you feel in mind when you eat a certain food. If you feel like shit, you know, even if it fits your macros for keto, you might want to avoid it. You know, but most of these I've tried before and they don't make me feel like shit. They don't increase my cravings. They don't do any of that once you're fat adapted. There is something left over that I did buy that I can still have. Now, a lot of you keto purists are going to be like, what? There's 20 grams in a box of raisins, plus their little sacks of glyphosate. Not healthy, but if you're just coming off of the standard American diet and you want your sweet fix, you can have a box, 1 box per day of these, meat and fat for the rest of the day, and your craving should be satisfied for that. Lots of meat and fat, though, to satiate the hunger. This takes care of the cravings. The meat and fat take care of the real hunger. I've got some Slim Jims because you never know when you want a snack and you don't want to fuck yourself. But they do have a little bit of carbs, so you got to pay attention. There's 1 gram per each stick. So there's that. I've got my Rayos low-carb pizza sauce. I get this. I forgot to mention I got pepperoni and mozzarella cheese. I do cheese and dairy. That's me. Results may vary. Some people have a sensitivity to it. I don't have a problem with dairy. So, especially mozzarella cheese. Basically, it fulfills my pizza thing. I put some of this, and I put some of the cheese and pepperoni in a bowl. I throw it in the microwave for a couple minutes, and melt the shit out of it. Eat it with a fork. Pizza craving satisfied. So, that's one of the reasons I've gone, prior to my little 2-month fucking cheat fest there. I've gone incredible lengths of time without eating pizza because of that. This was a gift to me. I haven't tried it. Supposedly it's pre-cooked bacon that you only have to refrigerate after you open it. Although it looks so small, I can probably just eat it in one shot. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. But total carbohydrate 0. So, wonder how many chemicals in it. Let's see. Cured with water, salt, sodium phosphate, sodium something or other. Lots of sodium shit. Lots of salt. Salt's good. And of course, you got some bacon jerky for those times when you need a meaty snack. And of course, for sweetening my yogurt and sweetening my coffee, I use Splenda Naturals. By the way, no sponsorships. I'm not a shill for any of this shit. This is just what you get. And this is what you can get at Walmart. Walmart is everywhere. So if you're kind of having an excuse on why you can't be at least dirty keto, that's it. Now, there is healthier keto. There's healthier options. You can get salads, but I'm not big on plants. Remember, I want to be ketovore. So honestly, salads are only be part of my dirty keto routine. If I go to a fast food place and I want to be keto, I'm going to get the burnt bun taken off my burger or my eggs and, whatever. And I'm also going to have salad, because almost all places still have salad. That'll probably be the only produce I consume. Because, like I said, I've tested this out, and this is what I know gets rid of the depressions and the anxiety. The anxiety's already gone down significantly just in 2 days, which is weird, because I still can't be fat adapted. But maybe it's just those are acute anxiety reactions when it comes to sugar and that kind of stuff. So there's that. Did I forget anything? I sometimes get regular pork rinds and dip them in salsa. Also, dirty as fuck. So, I know some of you might be frowning because you're all like super organic fucking motherfuckers. I also have, although I think they might be melted. Note to self, keep these in the fridge when you buy them. But low sugar or no sugar Lily's chocolate chips. Don't eat them every day because they do have a little bit of soy in them, and soy is bad. But like I said, how do you feel when you eat it? If you feel like shit, chances are you ate like shit. So things to keep in mind. So that's that. And then of course I've got plastic silverware, some my coffee filter, a pour over. I've got so many ways to make coffee now, it's ridiculous. But the good news is I can clean some of that shit out because I no longer need propane. I mean, it's nice to have propane as a backup, but everything's electrical now. Everything's cool. Got this fucking thing. I can do a lot with that. I gotta find some more induction. You have to have a special induction cookware to use with it because it does some kind of weird magnet shit that I don't know, was designed by people smarter than me. But apparently you have to have a copper pot with a fucking thingy on it. I don't know. I do need to get a saucepan, I think, that I can work with this. But for now, I think that's deep enough for a single serving of just about fucking anything that you're gonna have. So yeah. So that's full. The Jackery's fully charged. That's good. And of course, under here, I've got all of my odds and ends and trash bags and frying pans and cookware and all of that. As for the cookware, I don't even really have to wash this. I just wipe it off with a paper towel after it's done. And then the heat kills anything weird that forms. It's no different than throwing a steak on a grill that's been outside for fucking 6 months. In my book. And maybe even give it that little extra fatty flavor. I don't know. And that's it. You know, also on the bed, as usual, I keep my monitor during the day, and then at night when I pull over, I set all that up and the Bluetooth speaker there. And I can power it all with the Jackery now to watch YouTube, Netflix, and all of that through my phone, because my phone hooks directly to this monitor. So I don't really watch videos on my laptop, because that uses hotspot data, whereas my phone uses my cellular data. So that's a way to save data if you're thinking about living out here. So that is how you get healthy again and shit. Let's turn this truck on. I'm at the customer delivering shit. Oh, that's annoying. That's basically what I was waiting on. Those two items, the Jackery and the into whatever the fuck it is, fridge. And it's working out. Like, I'm living fucking comfortable. I spent the night in a random parking lot last night. Didn't have to leave the truck for anything, you know. My snacks, my coffee, everything is here. I've got water underneath the bunk. So I can try and keep my water well stocked. I usually have a case of it on me, along with 2 of the large jugs, so I can do dishes and stuff like that. Doing dishes is a bit of a pain in the ass right there, and it's not fun, but it's something I can kind of do, because in trucking you have a lot of moments like now where you're not doing anything, waiting for the customer to unload you. That's a great time to fucking knock your dishes out. And I actually have some dishes to do because I cooked my ribeye earlier. So if you've been holding out on getting back to keto, getting back to health, you fell off the wagon right with me. Now's the time. Why wait? Feel better. Lose the weight back off that you gained. I'm almost positive you gained. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, I went off keto and didn't gain any weight. Unless they were already not fat to begin with. I, unfortunately, was fat to begin with, so anytime I go off keto, my weight starts creeping. Although I will say, I thought I was going to gain a hell of a lot more than 14 pounds, because, you know, if you take into account that 4 to 8 of that is water weight, it's really only maybe a 5-pound fat gain in it. And it's all in the belly area, probably all in the liver too, from the fructose and sugar that I consumed. But I'll keep you posted. That's going to be the journey going forward on, you know, whether or not I'm successful at staying keto on the road. I don't anticipate a problem with it. I'm falling into my old routines. The ribeye I had today was fucking satisfying as fuck, especially compared to a lot of the junk fast food meals I ate out here. And I already starting to feel better, and it's only day 2. I don't know if I'm gonna have to re-fat adapt or how that is gonna work. You know, if it's gonna take me the full 6 weeks. You know, that includes energy crashes and stuff like that. I haven't needed a nap at all today, whereas when I was standard American dieting, I needed the nap multiple times. You know, I think it's going to work out. You know, in fact, I know it's going to work out. Let me know if you got any suggestions for things that I could improve upon in my setup. I'm all ears. I didn't even know about the induction cook thing until one of you mentioned it in the comments, and that does probably save a couple 100 watts of power when you're cooking. And I just couldn't believe it was only $50. Like, I've seen actual frying pans that cost. In fact, the other frying pan I have was like $40 to buy it because it was no stick, chemical, fucking injecting hormones in your balls, fucking cookware and shit. Anyways, I am currently in Ohio, and my next stop is Virginia. You're watching this video a day after I filmed it, so I'll probably be in Virginia by the time you watch this. Or close to it. No, I'll probably be passing into Virginia, because I'm going to post this tonight. And, well, I'm going to post it tomorrow, but upload it tonight. So there's that. So are you going to join me back into keto if you fell off? And when I say keto, I mean ketovores and mostly carnivore. You know, but definitely not all carnivore, as you saw. And there's a little bit of junk in there, but it's keeping me in my macros. So, sturdy keto. If I don't lose the weight off that I gained and I feel like shit, then I might clean it up a bit. But for now, this will allow me the time to get rid of my addictions. You got to understand, when you're coming off the standard American diet, you're going to have cravings in addition to hunger. Your hunger hormones are all fucked up. Your dopamine system's all fucked up. You need to do something to get unfucked. And the two things I know that work really well, whenever you get a hunger or a craving, eat keto. You want some potato chips? Eat the salt and vinegar pork rinds. You want something sweet? Have some Halo Top. You know, or have a coffee with a little bit extra packets of Splenda Naturals in it, or something along them lines. Try and satisfy the root craving. Like, if you want something salty, if you want something sweet, if you want something savory, that kind of stuff. But make sure it's keto. If you do that enough, you retrain your cravings. You know, when you have a craving and you give it something that's actually healthy for you, turns out your brain recognizes that after a while, and it says, you know what, I don't miss that other shit. This is all right. You do this every time I crave, but I don't need all of that. You know, this time you fed me, you fucking satisfied the shit out of me, so I'm probably not going to crave again for a while. And then over time, you get used to it again. You know, and things, you end up essentially being either OMAD or one meal a day and a snack. You know, that's me. Fasting will also become a part of this at some point, but I want the 6 weeks to go by. I don't prescribe fasting. You know, when people ask me for advice, I don't tell them fasting right away. I mean, fasting if you're not going to do anything but eat the standard American diet, but I can tell you fasting is a bitch on the standard American diet. If you go keto, when you first are transitioning and fat adapting, no cheat days. You know, you can have these little items, but you need to keep your grams under your carb tolerance. And if you didn't figure out what that was, guess what? It's 30. You know, till you figure it out. Keep it under 30 if you don't know what your carb tolerance is. 20 if you're diabetic. And just whenever you have a hunger or craving, or you want to eat out of boredom or whatever, make sure you eat keto. And after about 6 to 8 to 10 weeks, depending on how addicted you are, those addictions will subside. Your sweet sensitivity will drop way down as well, so the mildly sweet things you're eating on keto will taste a lot sweeter, and anything that you cheat on after that will taste insanely sweet, and you won't even enjoy it that much until after you've done it a while. So, you know, just some tips for those of you who are getting back on the horse, how to keep riding it. It's easy to fail because it's hard to get things started, but once you get them rolling and you get a routine and you get consistent, you will stick to the diet. You know, logistically speaking, that's the biggest hurdle, as we've seen. You know, like, look what I had to fucking do to make this truck keto friendly. You know, other than that, I'd be stuck with truck stop food and whatever restaurant allows you to sit in, which so many states are half-ass open or, you know, not open at all. It's still pretty hard. And then when you're in a restaurant, sometimes keto's hard to navigate in restaurants because you don't know what they put in your food. So it's really just safe to make your own food. And that was one of the things I was lacking the ability to do, and that's why I didn't bother. I was just like, might as well enjoy a couple months of eating like shit. And I say enjoy in quotes, because while you do get the dopamine hit when you eat like a Cinnabon, you have to take a nap later, you feel like depressed and anxiety rises. It's a whole thing. You know, a lot of people don't believe me when I tell them. You know, I see so many standard American dieters suffering from depression and anxiety. Every time I get away from the fucking standard American diet, my anxiety disappears entirely, and my fucking depression becomes like hours instead of days. And I'll take it. It's probably the best I can do because life sucks. But, you know, it is what it is. The fuck do I know anyway? Because I'm not an expert. Please leave a comment below if you have any other ideas for how a nomad can be healthier, you know. And when you do that, you're not just helping me out, you're also helping other people who are trying to learn how to do this, because I see a lot of people struggling in the nomad community with health and healthy eating, and maybe there's another way. So it's definitely doable to be a carnivore with this method too, on the road. Full-blown carnivore, because between the fridge and the induction cooker, you should be able to cook just about any meat and fat that you want. So I don't know that they're done yet. Alright. So that's it for this shorter fucking video, as in, I don't think it lasted too long. Please head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com, sign up for my free email list. I haven't sent out an email in a while. I will be soon. I don't have any days off lined up. They're keeping me busy, but just to give you an idea, I'm heading to Virginia next. And we'll keep in touch and shit. I am looking forward to actually getting to meet some of you occasionally. I've got people who already want to hang out with me for 4th of July in South Dakota, which is my next time off location. So that's where I'll be. If you want to hang out, have a cup of coffee or some shit, you can meet me in South Dakota for the 4th of July. I don't know that I'll make it to the Mount Rushmore thing because it's some kind of lottery shit. But at the very least, I'm gonna go camping. I'm gonna have some fun for a couple days and then go back to work. So I only took 2 days this time. So after that, I don't know what my next trip's gonna be. And yes, I did end up going straight for South Dakota instead of Denver and then to South Dakota. I wanted to see if maybe it was just a COVID-19 fluke that I was 6 days late before. Which means I'm gambling with the holiday, but you know what? It's really not about that. I just want to go camping more than anything in the Black Hills. I could do without the crowded fireworks or whatnot. But it'd be kind of nice to see some normalcy and some patriotism for a change. Seems to be lacking nowadays. Have a nice motherfucking day. And shit. Oh, and one more thing. Since I left New York, so much non-mask wearing going. Like, it's almost normal. Almost normal. There's like one in every other 10 that's wearing a mask. And of course, people, even employees in places, like in the last 2 customers I picked up and delivered from, no masks. None. They had the signs. No mask. Didn't ask me to wear one. I didn't wear one. Like, the first place I went in Michigan, I was like, oh, I better put my mask on. It's Michigan. And I walk in, I'm the only motherfucker wearing a mask. None of the security guard, the fucking yard jockeys, the warehouse people, nobody, other truckers, nobody wearing masks. And yet I get browbeat by some people for fucking killing grandma. Well, if you're worried about people killing grandma, I got somebody to point you to. His name's Cuomo. sidestep that question again in today's speech. Motherfucking piece of shit. Fucking prick. He's a fucking piece of